right, guys. We are here with the Free Play Arcade podcast coming live. All right, tape delay from A-Kon. The
Filmed live.
The largest anime convention, definitely in Dallas, arguably the country. There's another one in California that everyone always says, like, it's more like corporate in California. This one might have more people, but the one in California has more money going into it.
Really?
That's what I've heard. That's what I've been told.
This might be the biggest one. I had no idea.
Well, and I don't know what kind of exact numbers they're going to do this year, and we're going to get into that because A-Kon's gone through a lot of changes lately. In fact, they're partnering with Free Play, which is kind of cool. We're going to talk about that. So first things first, let's do the background on A-Kon. A-Kon's a convention that's old. Like, we're talking mid-90s old, 20-plus years old.
Yeah, I don't remember when it first started. I only knew it happening, always.
Well, my first A-Kon experience, I'm downtown, suit-wearing lawyer. I'm in the Plaza of the Americas, which happens to be connected by the tunnels to the Sheridan and to the Radisson. And all of a sudden, I go take the elevator to the ground level. I'm going to get some lunch, and boom, there's like 1,000 people in costume. Yeah. That was the first thing I ever learned about A-Kon. And then, of course, I learned that exact same A-Kon, co-founder of Free Play, Richard Trigilgis, was there at that A-Kon doing A-Kon things while I was just walking around I don't know what this is. This is crazy. I got security guards running around confiscating foam swords and stuff. It was an intense experience in downtown Dallas. And that was back when they were doing 25-ish thousand people going. And they kept growing, though. And so from what I've known, I've done a little bit of research. They started growing, and they kept growing. They went to the Gaylord, where they had 38,000, 40,000 people. And the Gaylord wasn't apparently a great fit.
At some point, they were in the DFW airport. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's actually where they started, right?
Yeah, it's hard for me to remember because
the airport hotel, not in Terminal A.
That would have been much cooler, can I just say?
Right.
All the runway cosplay models on the runway itself. Yeah, no, unfortunately that was not the case. But no, I've had friends coming into town for years. I remember hosting a group of 8 college kids from KSU. Came all the way out here just to go to A-Kon. Stayed at my place and then gotten gear and went out to A-Kon. But
you didn't go.
This is my first time.
Right.
Yeah.
This is also my first time.
So. Except for when I was a suit. When I was wearing a suit downtown, I'd walk into the gaming area and be I know video games. And I'd walk up and start playing. And then after 10 minutes, someone would come and hey man, you got one of these things? I'm I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Can I not just play games? And they're you gotta have a badge. And I was okay, I'm leaving. And then I'd find out it's A-Kon. That's what A-Kon is.
Yeah, my personal history with it, though, is I have been to A-Fest, which is an anime festival, the very smaller cousin of A-Kon. It's also in Dallas, maybe 3-4 times. So I have been to an anime convention, but never one as grandiose as A-Kon.
Well, yeah, so when I was doing some research, I found out that Dallas has 12 anime festivals / conventions every year.
Wow.
They average one a month. So it's just a kind of a pretty big hub. One of the reasons, of course, is what is it called? The company that buys all the Japanese stuff and redubs it here.
Oh, Funimation is indeed headquartered in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe Flower Mound.
Right, and so that really helps kind of if you're looking for guests, there's a bunch of Funimation employees nearby that do a lot of the dub work, a lot of the major anime voice work.
That's right. Yeah, if you want to have a tournament on Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and get the actual voice of Vegeta, that can happen if you're in the DFW area because of Funimation.
Well, I have heard that has happened before, only at the best arcade in DFW, Free Play Arcade. And that did happen. That was really cool. And that's the kind of really neat thing when you have something in the area, those kind of just obvious synergies can happen.
Right.
So that's really cool.
No, we have a bunch of Funimation staff members, voice actors that are just fans of Free Play. So it's really just a matter of hey, does anybody want to do this? And yeah, it's not that hard.
So if you see me sweating during this, it's kind of hot in here.
It's so hot in here, you guys.
It's 100 degrees outside. Plus we got these lights on us. We're trying to be professionals. But I feel like long term, most of the studio people are going to have to start addressing the sweat. And definitely us here.
And so I'm in a tank top, but some of these people are in full.
Oh, I know.
Stuff.
So okay, that's been the thing that I've heard as far as so they switched. Do you want to get to that? They switched the venues.
Well, let's go ahead and talk. So they were in. I think you're right. I think they were in the DFW airport for a long time. The hotel at the airport.
Yeah.
Then they went downtown, and from what most of the people I talk to say that the downtown time when they were at the Sheraton and the Radisson were like the golden era. Because you had like 2 major Dallas hotels, like 2,000 rooms, all connected by tunnels and stuff, with rooms everywhere, open 24 hours a day. So I've heard a lot of good things about that, but they outgrew that, and that's one of the things, like, as like just a business person or an event producer, that I've had to kind of like, it makes me kind of irritated at the internet. The internet's really mad at them for not being at those hotels, but they outgrew them.
Yeah.
They're twice as big as they were during their heyday, which means they added like 25,000 people to their attendance. So they went to the Gaylord, then they went to hotel in the Fort Worth like convention center hotel thing, and even that was like very, very difficult. And people started to kind of get irritated at them. But the truth is, the event producers were just kind of like at capacity, and they didn't know how to deal with it.
They need a bigger building. They need to rent out an entire mall or something. It's
well, I mean,
huge.
They have more square foot than your average mall this year. So A-Kon, around December of last year, they were sold to an actual event producer. Like, it was previously like a kind of like a homegrown event that kind of grew up. They had, I don't actually know anything about the owners, but it had like some local owners who were doing their best. And finally, they just threw in the towel. They sold it, and they said, we need some professional management. So an event producer, I think from Florida, bought it and said, we're going to try to do something really cool. And they rented out every single building that is available to rent at Fair Park.
Okay.
Fair Park here in DFW. For those people on the internet who aren't really familiar, you've probably heard of the Texas State Fair. This is where it happens.
Oprah made it famous.
Huge. Right? It's the biggest thing that happens all year.
It's like a Central Park-sized lot, like hundreds of acres with a ton of really cool like Art Deco buildings. Like, it's really, really neat area. And it doesn't get like the respect it deserves here in Dallas, but that's a whole other podcast.
Buildings, tons of cool stuff.
I grew up here going to the Science Place, which was this huge, beautiful science museum, which is now just an empty building, I believe. At least it was when I wandered in last time.
Like, this is where all the museums used to be. They've kind of moved downtown and uptown in Dallas.
Okay.
We still have
they're
some
great
here,
museums,
and we still have some really cool music halls and stuff here, but it has kind of, Fair Park has been neglected. And if like anyone from the Dallas City Council happens to listen to this, they need to do better here in Fair Park. They need to rein in the Fair Park Corporation. That's my quick rant on Fair Park, because this thing could be one of the coolest things in the world. I love coming to Fair Park. It's both like nostalgia for me, but also like it's a really, really cool area.
They have a lagoon.
Right,
they have a lagoon that every child I knew when we were growing up each took a turn falling in.
Because the lagoon was right in front of the science place.
They used to let you walk on it. Now they don't let you walk on it for safety reasons.
This is an exclusive Kelsey experience because her and her brother both individually fell in the lagoon.
Not just other people I knew, like kids I grew up with that came with me to the science place.
Right, well,
I actually had a near-death experience. I think as an adult, I look back and I'm like, some jerk accidentally pushed me into the lagoon. But what I remembered as a kid was I fell into the lagoon and someone saved me and then disappeared, and they were like my hero. But I realize now that was just the guy that knocked me in and didn't want to get in trouble.
All I remember about the lagoon was pushing in the people. No, I'm just kidding. maybe we connected all back when. We were in the same area, went to the same high school, so we just didn't know each other. Aww. I was in your life in the background. No, but Fair Park's awesome. But Fair Park,
it's not like anime known.
Well, right.
There's a weird mashing of worlds here.
And there is kind of a problem, right? And we have to just admit that this is kind of a problem. They're running an anime convention at the end of June in Dallas, Texas, where you have to cross building to building.
That's exactly it.
The layout of Fair Park is it has a ton of huge buildings, but they're far away from each other. It's made to be, I mean, it's a great location for a fair.
Like a college campus.
Right.
You can walk
it really
to the next
is.
building.
Well, absolutely.
And on paper, like, if you're not from the area, this all made a lot of sense.
Sure.
There's a bunch of buildings really close,
yes.
and they're renting like 100,000 air-conditioned square feet. So in their heads, they have to be like, this is like a great idea.
Well, and it's an event venue. It's famous for doing the biggest event, like, in the
a
country as far as state fairs.
There's also beautiful sights, you know, as you said, the lagoon, the fountains, the artwork that's out on the street, the Cotton Bowl is here.
Right.
Everything that you would want to take
cool pictures.
Well,
and the DART train comes straight here,
Right,
so wherever
stops.
you're staying,
that's
you can.
accessibility, so that's really nice too. And then, you know, a lot of people are here specifically to get dressed up in costumes and also to take cool pictures in costumes. there are a lot of cool places to take pictures here.
Absolutely, except now
Now
like
it's
your
100
makeup
degrees.
is like
It's 100 degrees
it's
out
melting
there.
off. Yeah.
We're inside in the AC, but it's hot because there's so many people
It's
coming
really
in
hot.
and
I mean,
out.
Right.
I love this guy, my husband, if you didn't already know, but he smells gross right now.
Oh, hey, we should introduce ourselves. I don't smell gross. I just re-deodorized. How
I
many,
mean,
how many
like
layers
you
of
smell
deodorant do I
like
need?
gross,
I am-
but with deodorant over it. So
I am Chris Delp, Community Liaison of Free Play Arcade. Before I introduce my co-host that you've been talking to for 20 minutes, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube feed. We're on iTunes. We're on everything. Wherever you're listening to this now, you can subscribe right now. But if you're on YouTube, click the bell icon as well.
The bell icon is the most important thing that has ever happened to people in the world.
And that's correct. And if we haven't hit that enough, we're going to hit it again later. But before then, I want to introduce.
Wait, no, hold on. Actually, you probably shouldn't click it twice, though. So don't hit it again.
Okay, that's
Just
true.
The
That's
first
a good point.
Because I think
One
that it
time,
undoes what you
third
on-
time's the charm.
You want it
three
on.
times
Three
might be good,
times.
yeah.
You want that thing on. You also want to talk to the CEO of Free Play Inc.
It's me,
That's Corey
Smelly
Hyde.
McGee.
Yeah, Smelly McGee, Buddy
Listen,
McBoatface.
I have a lot of Old Spice products on me right now because apparently that's all I stock in my backpack that I haven't looked at in a year. I'm really upset about this.
And my favorite person in the company, because I have hit yet another person with my car. What is
No,
it?
they
What is
hit
it?
you.
No, they definitely hit me. What is it again?
I'm the corporate liaison and general
Slash.
counsel.
Yeah.
She makes legal problems go away. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I didn't
so
make this
much.
one go away. He got hit by the right person, you guys. He's very lucky.
Yeah, sometimes you get in a car accident and everything works out. Not most of the time, but sometimes. Okay, so we're here back at A-Kon. We were talking kind of the problems with Fair Park. And when I first saw their plan, that they were going to be at Fair Park, they're going to have all this air-conditioned space, I actually thought it was not a big deal.
I thought it was exciting, actually.
Right.
So this is my first A-Kon because I really wanted to come check this. I mean, we're here, obviously, so I
Right.
might have come anyway.
think-
But
I
I
think-
was pumped to come because I wanted to see.
And I think your first-time experience is very important because there are a lot of people who are here for the first time, who are going to be here for the first time, and the question ultimately is going to be, will they come back? And will people?
Of course.
'cause
Well, so what
they're
does it cost
They're
to
gonna
come
bleed
here?
people for sure.
Like,
Well,
what is a ticket? Do
So
we know?
I don't know what early registration was, because most of these things have it's cheaper if you do it like 10 months before, and then it's a little cheaper if you do it 4 months before. Right now, it's 70 for the weekend, 50 for a day.
Wow,
correct.
well, I think I would do the weekend.
Right. They want people. So A-Kon is kind of built on just stay and hang out for the whole weekend. Take some time off work and just chill.
That makes
and
the
if you
heat.
if you walk around though, you can kind of see how that's going. Like there are people right now napping over there
Yeah,
because
I went to the ladies' restroom, and it's like, it's a whole experience.
And that's
like
why it's
people
so
are
nice
getting
attached.
changed. Like it's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, no. If you roll around the women's restroom,
I was lucky to get the mirror and the sink to wash.
Yeah,
I wanted
you'll-
the sink to wash my hands, but I was lucky to get the
you'll-
mirror with it.
you'll get some harrowing taxi cab confessions type stories.
Hey, I like that later in the evening after a little bit to drink. Do they have drinks here?
You know what I've heard? That's actually
Yes.
one of the things we're going to go grab when we get the camera and we're walking around. So after this podcast, Kelsey and I are going to go explore A-Kon. We're going
I'm
to try
so
to find
excited.
the best craft beer at A-Kon because I've heard they have some craft beer. I heard they have some alcohol. We're going to go try to figure that out and see how good it is. Rate it from our top craft beer bar nature and see how it goes.
Find the coffee that I did not surreptitiously.
If I find some, I'll just buy
drag
all
in.
of it.
yeah.
Oh no, I'm already good there.
I've seen generic energy drinks, but I haven't seen very much coffee.
Yeah.
All right, so A-Kon is an anime convention. We should go ahead and take the step back. A-Kon is kind of based on a celebration of anime, right?
Right.
And anime, of course, on the internet right now, has this weird reputation.
Well, it's a big category, right?
Right.
It's in a whole genre, whole
Right.
media outlet.
Well, and their fandom has their own. Here's what I'll say about their fandom. I joined their community group for A-Kon. It's got 10, 13,000 people. And the first 20 of 30 posts were about deodorant wearing at a convention. Because, that's kind of and I mean, I feel like that's enough to tell people on YouTube kind of the weird kind of vibe you get when you talk about anime conventions.
Isn't that just conventions in general? I mean, because
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
it
also a thing with
actually is.
gaming conventions.
Well, no, not even with gaming conventions. I've gone to professional conferences, and people still somehow smell. It's
just
part of the
you're traveling, you're out of your
experience.
element. You maybe security took your deodorant because you weren't paying attention to the traveling rules.
Maybe they moved your conference to a place that has 100-degree
Oh,
weather
yeah.
that
So
forces
now,
you to go outside.
now you should what's really amazing is it hasn't actually. I haven't actually smelled anyone really
Do I
bad.
smell okay?
Well,
I don't know.
that's the
Except
other
for
thing.
myself, apparently.
We actually do have room. so we don't
Right.
have to be so close to each other
That's kind of
the
the
good part.
positive experience. There's a ton of people here.
I have
Tens
to say
of
though,
thousands.
so DDR the other day, somebody came and they took off their shoes to play.
Oh.
It was really, really hard for me.
Oh no.
And he seemed like a really nice person too, but I was just like, please. And I saw him later and he'd put him back on, so I think somebody told him.
Well, and we're going to get to DDR stories pretty soon
Oh,
because
no.
all of a sudden that's my least favorite game ever, and that's a preview for you all on YouTube. But let's go. So A-Kon, it went through this whole change, right? It got bought out, and this is the first time with the new owners trying a new thing. They tried Fair Park, and, like, the real thing is it's not like a bad experience. It just should be better, right?
I think I have no idea, right? But if they're smart, they're looking at this and they're learning a lot, and they're like, so we have a bunch of stuff we can do better next time.
I think they have to be, yeah. Or if, like you said, if they're smart, if they have
Well,
any
I'll
intelligence
tell you
at
one
all.
thing that is amazing that has never happened before. Free plays games are here
true.
at Akon.
That's
So
true.
that's an improvement.
So we can go ahead and address that. So A-Kon, recognizing that the gaming world is becoming a lot more expansive and a lot more kind of like common mass cultural experience.
Yeah.
They've always had games here, but for the first time really wanted to make sure they focused on having awesome video game experiences here. So Let's Play, which is another convention that we participate with, which has the best arcade lineup every year in Texas. That isn't like a free play arcade, but like the best
Right.
convention lineup is at Let's Play. And
Is there a better convention lineup that's better? I don't know.
the
I
real
had
thing
an
is
amazing time
There
at-
are bigger conventions, but they're not better. There's never a better lineup, and that's primarily because of Rogue Synapse and Free Play.
Yeah.
We team up, we bring like 60 to 70 games, and we crush it.
Right.
It's the most we don't have duplicates, we just have awesome games.
Yeah.
Well,
and
it's super professional. Everyone's
Right.
like, it's at the next level, I think.
So this year, A-Kon, I assume I can let this information out. A-Kon scheduled exactly when Let's Play Gaming was supposed to be happening. And Let's Play hadn't firmed up their venue yet.
Uh-huh.
And A-Kon reached out and they said, hey, this is like your weekend. We don't really want to step on anyone's toes. We're thinking about doing this. And what we're going to tell y'all is, y'all should help us out so that we can help y'all out. It can be like this mutual thing. If y'all haven't like firmed up your date, if y'all are willing to move it
That's
back
a
a little
classy
bit.
way to handle that.
So they reached out, and Let's Play was like, we haven't firmed our date up yet. It's going to be like a different convention than normal. Let's go for it. Let's team up with y'all. And so A-Kon brings in Let's Play, and then of course Let's Play has to be. A-Kon's like, I hear y'all have like the best arcade ever, and Let's Play's like, gosh, y'all really want us to go to Rogue Snaps and Free Play and see if they can do it? And A-Kon was like, well, let's try it, right? Let's see if y'all can do it. So Let's Play has brought something like 150 console setups.
Yes.
Wow, are those all theirs?
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Oh
I think
my gosh.
almost all of them.
I just kind of thought it was like that first area.
Well, and Let's Play, along with a bunch of community help, right, because that's how Let's Play works, is running some pretty major fighting game tournaments here at
Yes.
A-Kon. For the first time, like, it's real major stuff. And then they contacted us and Rogue Synapse, and they said, what can you do? And so Rogue Synapse was like, we do classic games. That's what Rogue Synapse had. Custom cool games and classics.
Yeah. All American?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
They've got some interesting stuff they brought just because they were coming to A-Kon.
Right.
And then then Rogue Synapse was like, guys.
I know. When I think about Rogue Synapse, I think about American game collection.
They love the early 80s.
Yes.
And they love kind of custom stuff like the Last Starfighter that is everywhere.
Right. Which is
That's
basically
a Rogue
is
Synapse
kind
game.
of early 80s.
Right. So then they came to us and they were just like, can y'all fill in the gaps? And I was like, and normally when we're filling in the gaps, they're talking about like bringing like NBA Jam, Blitz, those late 80s, early 90s games that everyone needs, Turtles, Simpsons.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think
Wrong gap.
we're going to change the gap this time.
Yeah.
And so we brought, 33 anime-inspired or actual anime arcade games here.
Yeah. We have Japanese arcade games, Japanese arcade cabinets. We have classic stuff. We have stuff inspired by High Score Girl, the anime on Netflix, which has been tearing up the community group. It's been a dream out here for
Did we say
anime
Killer
goers.
Queen? We have Killer Queen.
We brought Killer Queen.
We do have Killer
This
Queen.
has actually been, and you know what? Let's do this live. Have you been like trying to get people to sign up for the Killer Queen event this fall?
Ooh, you know what? No, but
He's
I
like,
got
good
you.
idea.
No,
I got
we
you.
had 5 teams sign up yesterday.
Okay.
It's a different thing. It's a
I work
different
on that
thing.
on the side, but like here, it's more like teaching people to play Killer
Right.
Queen. It has been the game I've focused on most here because
It's the emptiest because
Well,
you
it's
need
no,
it.
no.
This is the
It's
best
a
place
team.
ever
Right.
to
Oh,
play
no.
Killer
I
Queen.
think this is the perfect venue because people want to have that community thing that is vital to the game.
right, and
But
also you have
it is-
scores of people that can actually play the game.
Yeah.
With Killer Queen, if you don't have 6 or more players, you're going to have a limited
It's not
experience.
as- It's not as much fun.
Well, and that's not immediately apparent
We have
approaching it,
40,000 people,
I feel like
so-
we need to put like a big thing over it that just says you need lots of players to have the best time.
Well, yeah.
They know.
I
They
mean,
get
I
that.
mean, here, I made the conscious effort. So if you come to our game line, Killer Queen's the very first game. Because I wanted people to experience Killer Queen. Because there's a lot of really cool stuff that's kind of like, especially for A-Kon. But Killer Queen's not for A-Kon, except we knew no one had probably played that game that was coming here.
Well, and it's great. It takes, 10 people can play it at a time,
Right.
so that's a lot of people
Right.
that can enjoy it.
So one thing that we've brought here, though, that I want to make sure I give a special focus to, this is the very first time this has ever happened in the entire history of the world. Elevator action returns, and elevator action death parade in the same location. And you know what? If you've ever done this on the internet, if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, whatever, I see that all the time, I want you to email me a photo proof because this has never happened before. This is absolutely unheard of. Elevator action death parade came out like 10 years ago. Elevator action returns came out 20 years ago, and elevator action, the original, came out like 33 years ago. So this is a really hard thing. You have to have a very focused, like, hardcore arcade to pull this off, and we pulled it off, and it's here with working elevator doors, working light guns on Death Parade, 100% mint original condition elevator action, and an elevator action returns in a Blast City. It's like, this is one of the greatest things that's ever happened, and no one here will ever know that, but it's huge.
We have had quite a bit of response from that. It's been interesting. We had a high score girl cosplayer, Camber, dressed up as Ono, so with the purple hair and everything, walking around. And many, many people have commented on that. And when she went over there with me to Elevator Action, she got a couple of speeches about, you have no idea, this game, and according to Elevator Action Death Parade, is based on another game, and they don't realize it's sitting right there.
Right.
And I also don't realize that the woman in the purple wig is one of Free Play Arlington's most avid supporters, Camber, who really doesn't know what Elevator Action Death Parade is, but absolutely loves elevator action.
Right, so, I mean,
it's this weird circular conversation happening over and over again.
well, yeah, it's actually, and that's actually, I mean, it's kind of something I want to talk about, too. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
Okay.
The A-Kon people have been the most different convention people, because we work a lot of events.
True.
We work Beer Fest, we work Let's Play that we were talking about, and all sorts of other kind of random stuff that comes up. And A-Kon people have been the most interesting coming up to our arcades.
Well, first of all, we talked about it. This is huge, so there's a ton of people,
Right.
and there are differences, It's not like everybody's the same.
Well, this was actually, I was thinking about this. So, like, when we worked at the beer festivals, people walk up and they're like, man, I love video games. Let's see what they got. I love this. This is amazing. And they don't really necessarily know. When we do Let's Play, you get these hardcore gamers who are like, do you know how rare this is? This is amazing. And for whatever reason, and this is not, I'm not really trying to throw shade, but here at A-Kon, like, I saw someone walk up to Super Turbo, the arcade game, and say, this was better on SNES. And, like, I keep hearing stuff like that.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, where they're like, no, this isn't like the definitive version. I'm like, no, literally, this is the version. This
Right.
is it. This is the only one you can play. Why would? And they're just like, no, I like this better on like, turbo graphics. And I'm like, it wasn't even out on that. And
I think there's a reason for that, though, right? Like, because part of something about A-Kon is like embracing like the weirdness in you, right? Like that's a part of it. At least that's my sense of it.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
so
fair.
like I think that no matter what you do, they're like, no, but this other thing that is not here, that is like rare because it's not here, because it wouldn't be the rarest if it was here, is the coolest.
Also, that game in particular has several generations of people playing the game. So
It's true. It's
yeah,
true.
the people who love the SNES version love it because they're part of the generation that when the SNES version port was brought to their home as a kid, and they didn't experience the arcades, or when it was re-released as the on the what am I thinking of? The thing
Are you talking about Hyper?
No, just last year.
Oh,
Nintendo,
the 30th or whatever?
No,
Oh,
Nintendo,
you're talking about the Switch, or was it Switch?
It's Nintendo has been releasing like the smaller versions of their consoles.
NES Mini, yeah.
Yes, the minis,
There we
right?
go.
So
There
the
we go.
NES and the
Sorry, I
SNES
thought you were
Mini.
talking about-
It's on the SNES Mini. So people have been rediscovering it there with that old control scheme, and so you have like, I wanted to say 7, but there's probably more generations than that of people playing the games. Not literally generations of grandson daughter, grandma, but like just tons of different places for people to get to that game.
Well, and one of the things I've seen, and perhaps this is because of how Akon's been run in the past, like Akon started out this like homegrown kind of con, and they were constantly, it didn't really matter, like especially their gaming stuff, they were kind of like, and this is again not trying to throw shade, they were kind of making do with whatever they happened to have, and of course Rogue Snaps and Free Play just came to Akon and blew it out of the water, and no one here is used to literally having the best. Like this is the best Japanese arcade that has ever existed in DFW. Like right now, here, that's it. It's
right
the
behind
best.
our shoulder.
It's amazing. I walked in and I said, "Who's coming to like bow down on their knees to us for this amazing thing we pulled off?"
And that's the thing. Most of the people here that I've
they're
talked
bowing
to,
down over there in scores.
It's
just
true.
Tons.
I would never really. Ask for that.
Right,
But what I'm saying
I
is
was kidding.
like people love anime and they're responding to these games that are classic arcade games that they have never seen before, but this is finally like these are the people and the games we're putting them together for the first time ever.
Well, and
they didn't go to these arcades back in Tokyo.
Right.
I know. I
1998.
just talked to a girl that was born in 2003, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it made me feel old. I was like, I don't know, but they're so young and they don't have the same experience as me.
Well, and one of the things that it's been really interesting to me is like we have right now a very kind of tailored arcade experience. And a lot of people have come up to me and they've been like, "Hey, where can I go play these games like normally?" And I'm like, "Oh, nowhere. Like this doesn't exist in real life." But for whatever reason, over the past couple years, I've kind of fallen in love with Japanese arcades. I think primarily because I've kind of maxed out the American arcade experience. I have just about every single major 80s release that's ever been released. I have all the 90s stuff. And so, like, I started to try to figure out what gaps can I fill, and most of it's been importing stuff from Japan. So here, and that was actually what excited me the most when Rogue Snaps came and Let's Play came and said, "Hey, we're going to Akon. Do y'all want to do it?" And I was like, "Yep, we're going to roll out." I was like, "We've got a ton of Versus Cities we're not using yet. We've got all sorts of special stuff that we bought that we don't really have plans for, but it all came from Japan." Which, of course, it's safe to say, like, Japan's the home of anime, right?
Yeah.
So
Japanese animation is what it is.
So it's been really neat. I mean, we've got the Poppin' Music that is the absolute best version to put at a con.
This is
How
really
many games
fun.
do we have here that have never been on the free play floor before?
Okay, well,
So because the games like Poppin' Music and the one you're probably going to mention, like, they really don't work well with 80s music blasting.
I would say probably 22, something like that.
It's amazing.
And what's really amazing is very few games were taken off our floor. Like right now, if you went to Free Play Arlington, there's 135 games on the floor. If you go to Free Play Richardson, there's 97 games on the floor. If you go to Denton, we didn't take any games from Denton.
Right.
So we were able to do this just with basically our backstop.
Yeah.
33
of things
games.
we didn't really have plans for a lot of
it's
them
true.
anyway.
It's games that I knew eventually we needed to buy, so if I had an opportunity, I bought it.
Well, and to be fair, like if you don't know this about Corey, you probably don't. Like I live it, but he tends to do things like he makes business decisions and things like that. But a lot of things that he goes the extra mile on are things that me, the other people that work here, my brother, like kind of like, right? And I think that has something to do with why I like things that are Japanese influence. My brother was big into A-Kon for a long time. We kind of like, my brother's learning Japanese right now because we love Japan. We think it's super cool. And that he kind of leans towards doing stuff like that. So we wind up with Dance Dance Revolution because it's fun. And, you know, like we wanted to buy this Sailor Moon game forever because everyone really likes Sailor Moon and stuff.
Gosh, that reminds me of a pending deal I have for a certain game.
Well, there you go.
Which is no promises if you're watching.
Another anime-inspired game, perhaps?
Right. So yeah, we kind of we rolled out the red carpet for Akon. Not necessarily because we were like huge supporters of the new owners, which I think they're doing an okay job. They're trying their best. But because we loved the idea of people really appreciating stuff that we had kind of hidden. We'd kind of held back. And so far it's true. These games have been super, super loved. Which, one of the hard things is, this was not easy at all, right?
No.
Josh, our lead tech, worked for a month
kudos to him and you and everybody who worked on prepping all this stuff.
Well,
this
Josh
is
is
phenomenal.
really passionate about it. I don't think if we had just been like, hey, person that doesn't care about this, especially do this, he could have pulled it off. Because you told him to do 26 games or something?
Well, yeah, so Josh is the reason we have 33 instead of about 25.
Yeah.
Because I was like, let's just do 25, let's focus on that. And he was working nights, weekends.
Yeah, he go home, shower, come back, work.
And he's around here somewhere, but
I feel like he's been programming for this moment this entire time, and he's just been ready.
Right.
And like this has been his event to shine, and boy has he. The curation here is phenomenal. The upkeep of the machines has been amazing. Like, this is at A-Kon where people have never experienced these games before. They have no idea what they're doing. They're banging around the controllers. This is it's all holding up, with the exception of like a DDR thing that you just fixed.
Well,
so
here, let's talk DDR for a second.
Sure.
So we brought
Dance
DDR
Dance Revolution.
for the very, very first time in free play history. We brought out a Dance Dance Revolution. We brought Supernova 2. It was a Supernova that we upgraded to Supernova 2 because I think that's a slightly better playlist, but even me saying that on the internet is going to cause
So didn't we,
controversy.
is this right? My understanding is ultimately what you like with Dance Dance Revolution doesn't have much to do with anything but the playlist. Like, you want your songs.
Well, I think that's really true, but I think the big problem is each individual, it's subjective, right? So each individual has
you'd
their
have different
favorite
preferences,
playlist.
so you couldn't say that this was the definitive one because some people would
Whereas,
prefer different.
well, like with pop and music, you're looking for the most expansive playlist with the most anime stuff, which I think is called Sunny Park is the version we have on there. It's like the most anime slash, it has like 42 songs plus most of them are anime. And on Crossbeats Rev Sunshine or whatever, Sunrise, whichever one it is, you want it fully unlocked, and we got it as fully unlocked as it's ever been.
Cool.
And then on Dance Dance Revolution, you want like a playlist that is kind of robust and around, but each person has their own favorite.
Well, I can tell you this one has some of the previous games in it as well.
Right.
I played it a few times.
It's Supernova. So Supernova was kind of like peak DDR. Like, I mean, there's new DDRs still being made, but Supernova was probably the most popular that was ever made. They probably made more Supernova cabinets than any other thing. It was like when people were going on the news and talking about how they're losing weight playing DDR, and everyone, like, it was back when it was a phenomenon. And then Supernova 2, I think, was kind of like a more polished playlist. So that's what we brought. But guys, this has been like the most irritating cabinet to maintain. Like, we brought it.
Everyone wants to play it.
Right.
It's like nonstop.
So what we did before we brought it, we confirmed all the sensors were working, and we reinforced all of the push buttons with a bunch of foam, which is kind of like your standard thing. You get these foam pads so that the button press is a little easier. Not a little, a lot easier. Because DDR players, basically, they just want to be able to touch it and then activate. So we did that. We rebuilt it. It received something like, so far, we're Saturday at almost 4. It's received 2,000 credits.
Yeah, it's
real
definitely
plays too.
All the games are popular. It's definitely the most popular. And I looked over my left shoulder,
Right,
and I
there's a
cannot
line.
see anything other than the line to play DDR. It's mammoth.
So
Well, and if someone disappears, more come. It's like they're managing it at that length, so it constantly.
well, and Chris, right there, that's one of the sensors that was in there. That's actually a working sensor, but it wasn't working well enough. So we've been repairing these sensors, replacing these sensors.
Well, and let me tell you, getting people off the machine so we can
Right.
fix the
Exactly.
sensors was
There's-
a real thing.
There's 30 people behind the people that you would want to like have step aside. So
So it's been a big learning experience too, right? Because long term, of course, DDR is an all-time classic 2000s game, and eventually we have to figure out some way to try to get to a free play. But let me just tell you, based on both what I know before and now this weekend, we're still a long ways away from figuring this
Right.
out. Because, I mean, it's taken more tech. It's like pinball level of tech time, if not more.
Right. Well, you have people stomping on all the sensors with all their weight 2,000 times in a weekend, yes.
Right. Well, and yeah, right now we have a bag over there that has something like enough sensors to replace every sensor twice that we bought just for this event. But it's a whole hassle to get under there because everyone is and this is something I just learned about DDR. You're stepping on there with your shoes and you're pushing dust and debris into the screws.
It's really gross.
So when we have to work on this machine, we have to get little flathead screwdrivers and dig all the screws out so then we can actually unscrew them.
Dig out the dirt that has just been.
I guarantee you if a tech from 2000 at like a Dave & Buster's or GameWorks or whatever had DDR at the time is listening to this, they're like, oh yeah, that sucked. That was like the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, we brought DDR. We brought some rhythm games. We brought a bunch of anime. fighters, which is primarily. Do we have any anime that's not a fighter? Like, because we were going through the list, and I don't actually. I'm trying to go over our list in my head. Most of the fighters that we brought were just anime fighters.
Yeah, in some fashion. Yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Everything was anime or anime inspired. Yeah.
I mean, we
have Super Turbo here, but it's only here because it was in the anime High Score Girl. So, yes.
Well, what's really fun is to be in an arcade that has a ton of Versus Cities, and Super Turbo is not the most popular game.
Right.
Like, I'll look over and Super Turbo's getting played.
That's the most
Well, yeah, DDR, but there's also, like, people are really enjoying kind of that experience of the anime fighters. And
absolutely. Well, they're looking and they're seeing familiar faces that they've never seen in an arcade game before. So, yeah, everybody's seen Ken and Ryu and Guile, and that's all well and good and all home for a lot of us, but man, I've never seen Melty Blood in an arcade before. This is awesome.
Right. Well, Melty Blood in a versus Ulix.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And then we've got things like Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Yes, I've never seen that in an arcade before.
And this is the original arcade version.
Yeah.
And most people who walked up and looked at it, they're like, they didn't release this for arcade. No, they did. They released like 57 or something units, and we've got one right here at A-Kon.
And what is Tatsunoko? I have no idea. You know what? People in this building know exactly what it is. This is the audience for it. So great place to have it. Yeah, once again, Josh, putting all that work in there.
Good job to everyone, because, I mean, it's getting them
No,
ready, but then now
moving
they have to be manned, too.
Agreeing to it.
Well, yeah, so
all of this
we've got 2 techs walking around right now fixing games as they break.
Well, and that goes on all weekend. We had Richard and Lonnie had to move these things around, not just.
And
like,
I was here Wednesday and Thursday unexpectedly just to help move games and set up this lineup because we didn't put any real thought into. We've got all these different sized games. I had to come and design the arcade line, which seems like it's like people on the internet. Every time I say that, they're like
you just put them whatever.
Put them whatever.
But I'm really big, right, on making sure the experience is kind of a fluid experience and everything is where it belongs. And I feel like we did pretty good nailing it here. We have 2 games over there that actually came at the very end that we forgot to pick up. And so those don't really. But every single game here is being played like constantly.
Oh, when I showed up, there was maybe 1 or 2 spots at Killer Queen, and every other spot was full.
Well, Killer Queen, as always, is either full or nobody.
Right.
So if you're going to see a machine with nobody on it, it's actually going to be Killer Queen.
Yeah.
But the most played is also going to be Killer Queen. So it's a really weird dichotomy there.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, it's been a really cool experience bringing all these games. And, I mean, there's a lot of kind of that goes into it, right? There's so much work that you almost like.
I don't even.
Well, can I just say?
Can you guess the man hours that are involved in free play arcade being here at A-Kon?
Thousands.
I think you're right.
Thousands. And that's.
Well,
we've got like 10 people here right now.
Right.
So.
And most of the people that come here, like Let's Play, like that's. I mean, some of those guys, they have their day jobs. Rogueston, they have their day jobs, and this is kind of like their passion and stuff like that. But like, while this is, we have operating businesses right now. All the things free play normally does have to happen, and we all have jobs that relate to that have nothing to do with this. So this is all just piled on top of our normal things that we have to do. So this is our 6th day of work this week, and I'm sure it's like, you just work every day, Chris.
And if you're watching this on the internet, like this was a once in a lifetime opportunity for us. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for every player here. Mm-hmm. This collection of games will never be together in its exact format ever again.
Well, it's so crazy because there are some people that are going to kind of see that. But most of the people here have no idea.
Right.
They're going to come, and it's just going to seem like,
Well, there's a certain beauty to that, right? There's a certain beauty to just kind of like coming and experiencing it. But, yeah, it's almost like I kind of regret that I can't just make everyone understand this exact lineup will never be together again. This is as good as an arcade at A-Kon will ever be.
Well,
whether or not we come back next year, this is like all-time great. And next year might be all-time great too.
Well,
but
who knows? Like, nobody knows what is going to be A-Kon next year. So, like,
we don't know.
Savor the moment.
A-Kon's, we've been talking about it. A-Kon's going through its whole thing. They might not even be at Fair Park. We don't know next year.
I don't know how many people are going to respond to their sunburns by saying, I'm never coming back here.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if it was that many people.
I'm going to go ahead and stick up for organizers, and
They
I've
have
had
to
a hard time
upgrade.
here at A-Kon just getting here, making everything work, and getting everything we were supposed to. But I'm going to stick up for the organizers that say they're tackling something that's like incredibly difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to have the people on the internet who say they're never going again for like one kind of minor thing is so infuriating as an event organizer that like I feel like why would you even like the poor A-Kon organizers, like if I were them, there's going to be a thought going through my head that's just like, why am I even doing this? Why is this like it's not worth it to me to deal with the abuse that I'm receiving from the internet.
40,000 people served, I think is a good testament. So
it's really and it's
that would
their
be
first
why.
time doing it,
Well-
and the first time doing it at this venue. So all of those are like learning, doing it the first time, doing it at a new place. You learn every time you do it.
Well, and to
And they've
connect it
grown
to the
so
last
much.
point really quick, if you are on the internet right now watching this and you skipped A-Kon for some reason, you missed the greatest anime arcade that's ever existed.
Sure.
You really did.
So you did that to yourself. And I mean, I really feel like no matter what your complaints are, there's so much good here at A-Kon.
Well, and I'm a great I love to complain. It's very easy to complain because it's easy to nitpick. It's hard to solve things, right? So when we showed up on Thursday, there were some things that didn't go totally smoothly. But I have to say, I was pretty impressed with the way that A-Kon then handled what didn't go smoothly.
Well,
so
what's really funny is I am who I am, right? I'm like pretty straightforward guy.
you're a busy guy, so you have to be
Right.
straightforward because who has the time?
It was really funny talking to the A-Kon people because like the arcade somehow got opened at 2. It wasn't supposed to be open till 4.
Right. So
And
it's
came to
tough
me
on Josh.
And they were and we were all panicking. We had a bunch
we
of
had
games
stuff
open.
out. Like
yeah.
I had a bag open on a chair. Nobody was there, and I realized after my conversation that there were a bunch of people playing games, and there was my bag like open with my wallet. I was like, ah.
So the A-Kon people didn't come in. And they're like, "Are these all your games?" I'm like, "Yeah, guys. What is happening? Why are there people here?" And they were like, "Oh, yeah, we have no idea why this happened." And that's kind of embarrassing. But they
They didn't say that. They had like a vague reason, but somebody messed up is what
Right.
happened. And they were being very diplomatic about it, I thought.
Well, and we had like 30 or 40 people in here, and if you're looking around, we probably have a couple. We have a few hundred just in the arcade area. We probably have 2,000 or 3,000 in this building.
But it stinks. And Josh, our head tech, is really organized, and
We had a plan, right?
He had a plan, and he knew when he was supposed to open, and we were going to be done early, actually, and then try to deal with some things like the fact that there were some really bright lights on that we would have
Right.
liked to cut down and stuff like that. But Josh still had he was putting little signs on our games to tell you what anime you could see it in, and
Right.
that was really cool. And all of a sudden, people are trying to play the game that he's got his tape and stuff all over, and that wasn't the best foot to start off on.
Well, and so the A-Kon, someone came up and was just like, "Hey, these are your arcades." I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "So is it okay that we're open?" And I was like, "I don't even know." I don't know. And he was like, "Can we let more people in here?" I was like, "No, I don't think so."
That's an abbreviation. He was like, "I'm so sorry. Should I ask them all to leave?" He offered to do that and everything.
It's true. He said, "I'll kick them all out."
Yeah,
I
and
said,
Corey
"Don't
was
do
like,
that."
well, they're already here and everything, but like obviously it would have been better if it had been the time we talked about it. And the worst part is like we were almost ready. We were going to be ready maybe an hour and a half
Right.
early.
We only needed like
the
an
other
hour.
people in this place were nowhere close to ready. Like
Right.
nothing was on. And that meant every person that walked through the door came straight here because this was the only thing that looked like you could do it.
Right.
So that was awesome. But it was all fine in the end, right?
Well,
Here we are.
So, but they did cut people off, right?
Yeah.
So they came and they were like, "Should we let more people in?" I was like, "Nah,
We'll
like,
just wait.
let's not do that."
And to be honest, we were ready to go pretty fast, but it gave them some time.
Well, yeah, it took
So-
like 20 to 30 minutes after they started letting people in for us to scramble and get it done. But like, it was irritating, and I
They
mean,
had
we're past
yeah,
it
yeah.
now. But it was the biggest problem was everyone gets let into this hall, and all of a sudden you've got all of these vendors, all of these different people who are nowhere near ready, just pointing them to the arcade, and we weren't ready either. It's just the problem is if you have one arcade game that's on and working, everyone just will stand in line and wait to play it because arcades
of
are
course.
amazing.
Yeah. They are made with attract modes for
Right.
a reason.
Right. So so we're here at A-Kon. Chris, talk to me about your experience so far at A-Kon, like the positives, the negatives. Hit us with kind of like what you've got going on in your head right now.
The positives have been walking around with our cosplayer, like having that experience. It's been just having the High Score Girl themed arcade and then having the cosplayer from High Score Girl right next to me the whole time as I'm trying to introduce these arcade games and talk people through where Free Play Arcade and where we're going, everything. It's been uniquely disarming for people. And they'll walk up to her and be like, oh my God, did you know? You have no idea how appropriate it is you're dressed this way. And she's like, well, I'm actually here at the request of the arcade themselves. So that's been super, super helpful. And it made yesterday a quite a unique experience for me, because I've been to these cons many, many times. This is the first time where, people are coming to me for the explanation of what's going on, as opposed to me guiding them through their experience.
Well, what I really liked is, of course, in High Score Girl, like the famous shot is of the back of, I don't actually know what the girl's name is.
The girl.
Oh, no.
Oh, no? Okay. Of the back of her sitting at a candy cab.
Yes.
And I saw like 50, 60 photos of her sitting at different candy cabs just of her back, and it looked so authentic.
Yeah.
Like, it looked so exactly pulled out of the anime. That was really, really neat.
Yes, and I promise you Camber was wrecking everybody who dared press start. Just
well,
like
Camber, of course,
should.
is a great gamer, great arcade player.
Yeah, she's a tournament-winning gamer herself.
Right. So,
Very
really
cool.
cool.
So that was cool. I would like a place to watch anime at my anime convention.
If you're listening, Akon,
right.
that's what Chris would like.
Well,
also, more coffee would be good. Any coffee. We're
Right.
not sure if
Well,
there is
that's
coffee. We're going to go
convention.
see if we can find some.
That's convention-wide. Like
Well,
every convention seems to have that issue.
I
but-
know we're running out of time, but this is another thing I want to defend at the convention on. I've heard, just walking around and looking on the internet, I've heard all these complaints about how much the food costs, but I just went to a vendor, and it was totally accurate. Like,
I
well, I
agree.
mean, each bottle of water cost $1.
$1. That's awesome.
All sodas were $2. And,
Yeah.
and like your average meal cost for like hamburgers or chicken tenders, which is basically like, your concession food, was like $5 to $7. Like, that's not bad. I understand that there are some food trucks out there that might be charging more.
Well, but can I also say, if you don't love the food trucks, we walked right out through the front gate, across the street to Pizza Lounge.
This might be my biggest irritation with A-Kon goers. They don't seem to care about. So they're here, right? They're in Fair Park. They're in Dallas.
Right.
And Pizza Lounge, Craft and Growler, a great bar and one of the best pizza places in town is across the street.
Well, it's literally
I walked there
the
just a
dart
moment
train.
ago.
Yeah, the dart train's right there. It's the gates to the dart train. It's even closer from the dart train to Pizza Lounge.
And you can go to Pizza Lounge, get a deluxe good pizza for like $14.
Not just pizza. I had a barbecue chicken
Sandwiches.
sandwich. It blew my mind. It was so good.
Right. And anytime it's suggested that someone just walk across the street is like, no. And I've actually seen a lot of people, which is it was strange to me because I'm like, Dallas born and bred. I mean, Richardson more, but Dallas, it's a suburb. When people talk about their safety here at Fair Park, I really roll my eyes. Like, I've been to Fair Park at night. I've been to Fair Park everywhere. I've never felt unsafe. And I understand occasionally, like, crime happens in a big city, but
I say,
oh my
be
gosh.
smart. Don't get super drunk and then like wander down a back alley and drop your wallet and have all your money fall out.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. But generally, like, if you're going during normal hours to places people are, you're gonna be fine.
But yeah,
I in no way do not feel safe here. I feel completely safe.
but
and
yeah,
I walked off the campus and walked past the pizza place to the coffee place and back again.
and
so.
I mean, I love this area of town, and
I think it's really cool. It's actually City of Dallas. Do something with Fair Park. This could be so amazing.
There's no
I don't have the resources to do it, but somebody has to.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just always bummed out when I see, like, people online. It's probably mostly, like, 18-year-olds who have no life experience, who are, like, I don't even know. I don't know how to, like, I don't want to offend anyone, but they're just, like, you can't even walk there without being mugged. Like, you can't take the dart to Fair Park without being mugged.
I don't know. I mean,
Please.
I think that's just, you haven't been there probably,
Right.
Yeah,
right?
I've been here 30-plus times. And
I've wandered around here with my small children.
Well,
I've taken
we walked.
dart.
Remember, did we walk a long way with the kids or Sterling
Oh,
or
yeah,
something at one point?
Well,
If I'm going to the state fair, I'm taking dart, period. I'm not parking. I don't want to fight it.
I've actually
Taking the green
found,
line.
I mean, in general, the people here in South Dallas are far better than the people in, like, downtown. And this used to be in down. Everyone talks about how downtown was the heyday. Screw downtown. South Dallas is the place to be. Oak Cliff, Fair Park. I love this area of
I
town.
love it too.
And I'm really, it really makes me so grumpy when people are like, it's unsafe, we're all going to die. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's crazy.
Wow.
Like someone in some cosplay walking down the fountain in Fair Park is just going to get randomly murdered. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I think
But
maybe being dramatic now.
No, I'm
Nobody
not.
really thinks that, right?
Go online. It's amazing.
I stay off of online. I don't like online. It's a place where people say all these mean
I
things.
sound ridiculous, but that's actually what people are saying, and it was really crushing to me because I really do like this area of town. So
No,
I mean,
I haven't seen any safety issues myself walking around. I have seen plenty of people walking around in costume.
Well, the Fair Park security has been really good.
Right.
They have been really nice, and not too where's your badge, ma'am? But
also-
making sure people are supposed to be there, but being good
Right.
at their jobs.
Yeah, the Fair Park staff has been overwhelmed by what they're seeing because they've never been to an anime convention before, and yet incredibly helpful and excited about it. And I mean, all the cosplayers sort of go to them and be like, you should join us, and every one of them is just excited about just the thought of, hey, we get to play Halloween every single day.
Yeah.
You guys are doing it right.
well, yeah,
So,
this is exciting for the Fair Park people because
Right.
it's so different.
Yeah, so that's the level of interaction I'm seeing. Excited locals
Right.
and convention goers, not crime, not this is scary. No.
That's good. You know what I'm excited to do is to go actually do some stuff,
Well,
see
that's
some
what
stuff.
we're
I
doing
want to find
next.
out.
Another YouTube video. We're gonna walk around. We're gonna find the best craft beer here in Fair Park. We're gonna go buy some stuff in the vendors hall, which I hear is amazing. We haven't been, but I've heard it's an all-time great vendors hall. I've heard it's an all-time great arcade. I know it's an all-time great arcade.
Right. I haven't even played. I mean, I want to play some games.
Well,
I
yeah,
want to do everything.
We're gonna do the full A-Kon experience.
You're about to go
coming up.
undefeated and kill a queen then.
So I mean, no, I guess the real thing is it was really weird because we said yes to this, and then I went online. I read all this negative stuff, but most of the people around here I've seen are having a great time. There was one guy who started crying when he lost on DDR.
Oh, jeez.
Which
really?
made me feel, and then he went and he yelled at our text, so I wasn't so sad for him.
Oh, wait. So this
but-
wasn't like a child or anything.
No,
this is like a grown
no.
person that
This
did
was someone who was a touch tap player who got beat by someone actually dancing on the pads, and it was like a whole scene apparently.
I'm just like, come on, y'all. If it matters that much to you, get your own game and you maintain it.
Right.
But
I think you need to settle this the only true way with an actual dance-off.
Well,
We have plenty of room right there. Pass the line.
but yeah, I mean,
I'm a
Actual
bad
dance-off.
dancer.
we're here at A-Kon.
Settle it
It's
there.
been fun. I really like.
Has been.
It's been really cool doing this theme arcade.
Yeah, join us next time for the craft beer search through A-Kon.
So
the
we're
search
not,
for everything, the search for the best and the
Right.
worst and the excitement. Y'all, my kids are with Grandpa. I want to
right.
do
We've
it
got a
up.
whole day. We're gonna tell Matt he's sitting there behind the cameras right now. We're about to spend 30 hours straight.
Well, no, what he's doing is worrying about how we're going to film and capture the audio for us wandering around Fair Park as a
he's
big group.
He's worrying about the terrible lighting situation when we go from this dark arena of gaming to the 10,000 degree sun outside.
Well, in and out, right? Because you go in and then you go out. I don't know. I'm really
So,
excited to see how it all
but
works.
anyways, that's our A-Kon tape delay podcast. We've got an all-time great arcade. It's been really fun being here.
Someone message me and tell me how many daps and looks into the camera we had from passersby.
Well, and if the cameras have been vibrating a little bit, that's people destroying my DDR right
Indeed.
there.
You can
Indeed.
feel it.
You can feel them stepping so hard and destroying.
But they're into it. I've seen some really great DDR playing.
Well,
can I just say? I'm impressed.
No. You know what? Last night there was one of the highest scores ever on a song scored on our DDR. The same time someone was online saying that it was the worst DDR they'd ever played. So DDR's hard. It's crushing. But we're out of here. We're at Fair Park.
I'm Chris
Till next
Delp,
time. That's Chris Delp.
Community liaison. This is-
Kelsey Hayden.
The big.
We didn't even. Wait, no, we did
Yeah,
eventually
we
get to
did
my
that
introduction.
in the middle
Okay,
of the
all right,
whole
all right.
podcast.
Yeah,
You're the big
you're our
slash.
savior.
Okay.
The big slash. Corporate liaison slash.
It's
General
not a slash.
Counsel.
It's an ampersand.
Whoa.
I like
it's
the
an and.
ampersand.
You're right. It's an and. God,
It's a good.
You're
it's
right.
a good
I
character.
really messed that
Is
up. I
what
feel
we call
terrible.
it? know.
Okay, and I am the big slash.
Yes. Don't forget
President
to
CEO.
Don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell icon.
Five
where-
times. 5 times on the bell
An
icon.
odd
board.
number of times so that in the end you have hit it enough times that it is active.
101 times. But until then, we're gone. From A-Kon signing off, the Free Play Arcade podcast. We'll see y'all next time.
Love you guys.